Hi there, it's Rachel Greig and welcome to our YouTube channel. In this video I want to share a quick card and envelope tutorial showing how you can use the new Semicircles Set Stencil. So this is a small stencil that has 3 different size semicircles on it, and what I've done here is I'm just using the Distress Mixed Media cardstock and just inking up that with a little bit of scattered straw and antique linen distress ink, just to give it a little bit of a background here because I'll be sponging some other ink on top, so it just starts off that background. So this stamp that I want to start with here is I'm using the Tropical Island stamp set, and I've decided to use the silhouette palm trees. So this is a couple of palm trees here on a little silhouette hill, and what I'm doing is using the jet black archival ink to ink up this image. And I'm using the Tim Holtz stamping platform. You could use any type of stamping platform for this technique, or even just a stamp positioner to re-ink this stamp and stamp a couple of times. So the reason I'm doing that is I really want this silhouette to be very, very black. So that little hill, I want it to be completely black, so that's why I'm stamping it up a few times. So you may get it completely black the first time, just depends on how inky your ink pad is, but I really wanted it black, black, black. So that's why I use that stamp positioner. It just means then that I can stamp it a couple of times just to make sure that was a really solid silhouette. So I've pulled out my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station. This is a really cool tool to keep your stencils in place. It's got these really nice magnets to keep your stencil in place, and I'm also using the ruler, which is a magnetic ruler, to keep that stamped base image in place as well. So I've just put magnets over the top of the Semicircles stencil and just inked it up there with a bit of Wild Honey distress ink. And now what I'm doing is I've put the Sunshine stencil over the top, and I just want to add a little bit of sun rays to the back of the sun. So I'm just using a bit of scattered straw distress ink, and I'm starting from the base of that stencil, like where the center is of that sun, and then just gently using that ink blending tool to sponge out some of that ink. So I've just done that on all the sun rays. I'm just going back here now just to do a little bit more on that left hand side because I've just needed that to extend a little bit further. And now I have my inked up sun and the sun rays. So you can use the Semicircles stencil to create different size suns. This one I use the smallest semicircle to create that one, but you can see there's 3 different sizes of the semicircles, so you could create different sizes just according to what your project needs. So I've die cut my panel here just using a stitched borders die from Stampin' Up, and now I just want to add a little bit more ink around the edges and just going around the edges just to give it a nice sort of warm border to match up with that sun. And I want to ink up a little bit of the water, so I'm using Tumbled Glass distress ink, and this is a really nice light blue ink, so that'll just give me a little subtle blue for that water, but I still want to keep the sun rays, so I want to create a reflection of that sun in that water, so you can see there how I've still got some of that scattered straw and wild honey that's down on the water, and it just makes it look like it's got a little bit more of a reflection. So I just want to add a little bit more of that color just for that little reflection, so then it just makes it look a lot more realistic. So I'm just want to ink up a little bit of the edges again, just using that wild honey just to really bring that nice kind of darker area around the edges and blending it in there with that scattered straw sun rays. Now I'm just adding a sentiment to my card, and I've got out the Tropical Island stamp set again, and I'm using the Good Vibes stamp out of that set. And I'm just using archival jet black ink to ink it up and then stamp it on top of my card. Okay, so now I just want to put my card together. I've just got a little bit of sheet music that I've put on a folded white card, just as a little base there on the left-hand side. And now just adding a little bit of foam adhesive. I'm using some foam adhesive from Scrapbook Adhesives, and just putting some around all the edges of this card, and then a little bit in the middle so the middle doesn't sink in, and then it'll be ready for my card front. Now I want to make a matching envelope, so I'm using the Semicircles stencil again, and this time I'm using the medium size, the one that's in the middle, and using that same Wild Honey distress ink and just distressing the little center there of the semicircle. Now I start with the outer edge of the semicircle because I want it to be darker on that top part, and then just making it a little bit lighter down the bottom there. So I'm just inking up that sun, and it's really fun to create matching envelopes to go with your cards, and especially when you're just using distress inks and stencils, it's easy to alter envelopes in that way and they'll remain flat for the postage. This time round I'm using the mask for this semicircle. So the Semicircles stencil set comes with the little hollow semicircle shapes and then also the matching masks. So I'm putting the mask down here so when I go over the sunshine stencil, the little sun rays won't show up in the sun. So it's just when I'm using a larger semicircle, sometimes it does show up. So that's why I've just put that mask down, and it just makes sure that that sun will be complete, and then these little sun rays will just show up on the outside there. So I'm just using that scattered straw distress ink just to ink it up, and I won't go very far out because I still want to allow room to write the address in. So there you can see my little matching sun and my matching card. So I hope this has given you some ideas on how you can use that Semicircles stencil along with the Tropical Island stamp set and the Sunshine stencil as well with these distress inks. You can find all of these products on our website or ask for them at your favourite craft retailer. Thanks so much for watching.